Yuhao stood still, letting the words land, because he respected Xian Ziwen's skill, even when that skill turned into a whip. Then Xian Ziwen swept his sleeve and dropped rare metals onto the table. Hey friends, welcome back to 3D Cartoon Review, where a single soul tool can tilt a battlefield, and one quiet choice can decide who survives tomorrow. Quick question for you. If you were Huo Yuhao, would you rush to the front line for glory, or stay behind to forge a weapon that changes the war? Today, we follow Land2, episode 136. As Tang Men debates duty, Yuhao faces a ruthless test, and the sky over the border battlefield begins to shake. After the last chaos, Huo Yuhao headed back toward Tang Men, with the Bingji Wang lumbering behind him, each step heavy like a drumbeat. Beside Yuhao, Bei Bei bounced like a spring, eyes bright, voice louder than his body, insisting on calling Yuhao grandpa with shameless confidence. Yuhao didn't scold him. He only said one line about cutting meals, and Bei's mouth snapped shut, as if hunger itself was a terrifying soul skill. Even the Bingji Wang seemed amused, its gaze calm and ancient, watching the little troublemaker learn discipline faster than any lecture could teach. At the Tang Men gates, Nana appeared, walking with steady authority, as if every brick and banner already recognized her as part of the sect's backbone. She still bowed and called Yuhao master, but her eyes were brighter now, confident, carrying the weight of someone who has survived real storms. Bei stared at her like he'd discovered a legendary treasure, lips parting, face flushing, almost forgetting his fear of reduced meals. Yuhao cleared his throat once, quiet, harmless, and Bei instantly straightened up, wiping his mouth and forcing a solemn expression he couldn't maintain. Nana briefly reported the sect's situation, speaking efficiently, and Yuhao could hear how Tang Men's gears were turning faster since the war began. Bei tried to interrupt with flattery, but one glance from Yuhao made him swallow the words, cheeks puffed, eyes still secretly sparkling. Nana's smile flickered, half amused, half exasperated, and Yuhao felt a strange warmth. Tang Men was changing, growing sharper, stronger, more united. Before anyone could rest, Tang Men's inner hall gathered for a meeting, and the moment the doors closed, the room filled with tension like pulled wire. Caitou argued first, voice rough with urgency, refusing to stay behind while his brothers fought, because loyalty without action felt like cowardice. Bei Bei answered calmly, but every word carried command, insisting Tang Men needed an unbreakable foundation at home, not another spear thrown into chaos. Their debate rose and fell like waves, and the others listened in silence, knowing that one decision could protect Tang Men or leave it hollow and exposed. Caitou's fists tightened, eyes reddening, not from fear, but from frustration, because he wanted to prove his worth where blood and fire were real. Then the door opened and Huo Yuhao stepped in, calm and composed, the kind of calm that comes from seeing death and learning to breathe anyway. He didn't beg, he stated facts, he understood the enemy's aerial scouting system best, and Tang Men lacked another control-type soul master at his level. Without his control, Yuhao said, the team's combat strength would drop sharply, and a single broken rhythm could turn a mission into a massacre. For a heartbeat, even Caitou's shoulders loosened, because Yuhao's logic sounded like a clear road through fog and shouting. But that road shattered the moment another voice cut in, sharp as metal striking stone, dragging the whole room back into cold reality. Xian Ziwen arrived with a stern face, and the air instantly cooled, because everyone knew his anger was never noise. It was judgment. He opposed Yuhao leaving, accusing him of neglecting soul engineer cultivation, and the scolding came fast, direct, and painful to hear. He wasn't just angry for pride's sake, he feared wasted talent, because a genius who stops forging becomes a dull blade when the empire needs steel. Yuhao stood still, letting the words land, because he respected Xian Ziwen's skill, even when that skill turned into a whip. Then Xian Ziwen swept his sleeve and dropped rare metals onto the table, the heavy clink sounding like chains being locked around someone's future. Among the metals was Bingji Shenjing, a legendary material that could forge rank 9 soul tools, maybe even touch the edge of rank 10. Its cold aura was savage, below -100 degrees, so cruel it could freeze ordinary masters by proximity, turning breath into knives. Xian Ziwen said plainly. Across the world, only Yuhao's ultimate ice martial soul could handle it, shape it, and keep everyone else alive nearby. So Yuhao must stay, like a blacksmith drafted by war, forging for Tang Men instead of chasing glory under the open sky. Yuhao's mouth twitched with helpless disbelief because he realized he'd been recruited into a workshop prison with no polite way out. Caitou wanted to argue for Yuhao, but he hesitated because he understood if Bingji Shenjing could be forged, Tang Men's power would leap. Still, Yuhao didn't explode because he knew war devours weapons faster than pride, and Tang Men couldn't fight empty-handed forever. Xian Ziwen leaned forward and set a condition: craft an 8th-rank soul tool, and then use it perfectly in real operation. If Yuhao succeeded, Xian Ziwen would let him go. If he failed, the frontline dream ended here, under cold lamps and unforgiving rules. Then the blueprint landed. Fenjie Pao, the disintegration cannon, an 8th-rank single-body attack soul tool, famed for ending duels in one brutal blast. Worse, it carried spatial attributes, making it 3 times harder than ordinary 8th-rank designs, and even veteran engineers feared its core arrays. And the cruelest part was time. 3 days, while Yuhao was still a 7th-rank soul engineer, standing 1 step below the requirement. Caitou stared at the drawings like they were funeral paper, his throat dry because he understood the difference between hard and impossible. Bei Bai's brows tightened, sensing the test was unfair, yet also sensing that Xian Ziwen was forcing Yuhao to evolve under pressure. Yuhao didn't argue, he accepted the blueprint, because arguing wastes time, and time was now the most expensive resource in the room. He bowed once, calm, then turned away, shutting the door behind him like sealing himself inside a battlefield where the enemy was the clock. Inside seclusion, Yuhao spread the pages out and stared at them until lines and symbols felt like a second language carved into his bones. 24 core arrays, 30 dense pages, each stroke mattered, each angle mattered, and one mistake could turn a cannon into a coffin. He didn't eat, didn't drink, barely breathed, letting his mind run like a blade across every detail, polishing understanding with sheer obsession. He copied key arrays by hand, again and again until his fingers cramped, because copying forced understanding the way reading alone never could. At times, his mind wandered to the battlefield, to friends bleeding somewhere far away, and he dragged himself back with one thought: finish this first. When fatigue pressed down, he used his spirit to sharpen focus, turning exhaustion into a thin edge, refusing to let sleep steal even one heartbeat. Outside, Caitou paced, stopping and starting like an anxious guardian, listening for any sound that would tell him Yuhao was still alive. Even Xian Ziwen waited longer than he liked, pretending confidence, yet his fingers tapped once or twice, betraying the tension he refused to show. On the 3rd day, Yuhao opened his eyes and the room seemed to tighten, as if the air itself leaned closer to witness something dangerous. Golden, diamond-shaped scales spread across his skin, shimmering like ancient armor, and his aura surged with a ferocious, primal pressure. At his brow, a pitch-black vortex formed, swirling with terrifying mental power, the kind that makes even strong men feel their scalp go numb. Xian Ziwen's heartbeat quickened, because that sensation resembled a spiritual-type soul core, something that shouldn't be so complete, so early. Yuhao rose and began forging with brutal strength, hammering the outer shell like a human-shaped ferocious beast. Sparks burst in short star-like sprays, metal singing under impact, and the rhythm was so perfect it felt like a war drum commanding order. Every time the hammer fell, Yuhao measured vibration through his palm, adjusting angle by a hair, treating metal like a living creature with moods. Caitou watched from outside the safe line, stunned, because Yuhao's control wasn't only skill, it was certainty, like he already saw the finished shape. When the shell finally settled, Yuhao didn't pause to admire it. He moved straight into engraving, where countless engineers break and lose faith. 5 dark gold terror claws extended from his fingertips, 5 blades flying, and they became carving knives faster than any ordinary tool could move. Lines, curves, runes, and layered structures flowed beneath his claws, forming living patterns like miniature constellations of logic and violence. Every cut was clean, every depth exact, and the metal seemed to obey him, not because it liked him, but because it feared him. The claws traced paths so fine they looked like spider silk, yet each line carried purpose, linking arrays together the way veins link a heart. Yet the true nightmare waited at the final core array, the heart of Fenjie Pao, the place where pride usually turns into ash. That core was no bigger than a cherry, but it demanded 18 continuous spirals carved in one breath, without tremble, without hesitation. At the decisive instant, Yuhao's fate eye opened, releasing pink gold light, as if destiny itself stared through him and judged every motion. Caitou glanced at that light for half a heartbeat, and his soul froze, body stiff, like he'd looked into a storm that looked back. Yuhao didn't slow. He condensed soul power into a hair-thin ice needle, carving the spirals while his mind stayed terrifyingly calm. He injected pure attributeless soul power into the array's pathways, letting energy flow perfectly along his engravings like water following carved canals. Breath held, time tightened, and then a violent boom rang out. The final array completed, and faint spatial ripples trembled around it like cracked air. Yuhao continued, using Tang Men's secret control technique, Kong He Chin Long lifting multiple core arrays into the air as if they weighed nothing. No clamps, no hands, only overwhelming mental power, assembling components like stars locking into a single ruthless constellation in perfect alignment. The parts clicked together without sound, yet the air flinched, because spatial energy was being forced into obedience by will alone. As dawn crept in, pale and quiet, the 8th-Rank Fenjie Pao finally took shape, resting in Yuhao's hands like a sleeping beast. Xian Ziwen stared, truly shaken, but he still tested Yuhao, warning that without enough soul force, the cannon's full power might be unreachable. Yuhao answered calmly, placing truth on the table like an unbreakable stone. Teacher Xian, my soul power is already level 80. Twin martial souls, extremely pure soul power, and a spiritual soul core with astonishing recovery. He listed them with no pride, only certainty. Then he added one more line, soft but explosive. Even a 9th-rank soul tool, he was confident he could attempt a single full activation. The room went still, Bei Bei froze, Caitou gasped, and even Xian Ziwen blurted disbelief, because this youth had crossed a terrifying boundary. With 10,000 years Swanbing Sui and the Long Dan absorbed, Yuhao had reached heights many elders never dared imagine at his age. Xian Ziwen's heart surged with joy, yet his face stayed stern, scolding Yuhao as if anger could hide the excitement bursting inside. In the end, he allowed Yuhao to go, but set a hard condition: return within 1 month, no excuses, no bargaining, no delays. Yuhao nodded, relief hidden behind calm, because escaping the workshop felt like surviving a battle where time itself swung the blade. That night, Tang Men moved like a sharpened machine, checking plans, sealing supplies, and preparing their finest lineup for the mission ahead. Before dawn fully brightened, the elite gathered at Shilai K Academy, the air crisp, the mood heavy, the sky pale like an unspoken warning. Bei Bei stood forward, leading the core members Huo Yuhao, Shu Sanxi, Zhang Nannan, and Xiao Xiao, each carrying their own quiet steel. Ji Juexian waited with sword-thin eyes. Ye Guti stood steady and calm, and Nan Chuku's fiery spirit burned even when she said nothing. 2 Super Duluo guided them, Song Lao and Yan Xiaojie, their presence alone stabilizing everyone, like mountains holding back panic and forcing hearts to steady. With a single command, they became streaks of light, cutting the sky toward the northwest, leaving only fading echoes like distant thunder. In just 2 hours, they reached the border battlefield, and the sight below felt like the world holding its breath before screaming. From above, the field looked like 2 seas about to collide, and Yuhao felt the strange calm before slaughter, the silence that always lies. More than 500,000 soldiers of the Three-Nation Alliance formed an iron ocean, lines stretching to the horizon with banners like forest spears. Opposite them stood 300,000 Ryue Empire troops, disciplined and cold, their formation tight, their silence sharper than shouting. Between the armies, the air itself felt tense, as if one spark could ignite a storm that would swallow flesh, steel, and soul together. Yuhao narrowed his eyes because he knew this war wasn't only numbers. It was information, control, and the moment you break the enemy's rhythm. So here's the question. Which shocked you more? Yuhao forging the Fenjie Pao in 3 days, or him calmly admitting he's already level 80? And if you were in this mission team, would you fear the enemy's army more, or fear the secret weapons and aerial scouts hiding behind them? If you enjoyed this episode, hit like, subscribe to 3D Cartoon Review, and ring the bell so you don't miss the first roar that rewrites fate. Thanks for watching. See you next time, when the border sky finally erupts, and one cannon's breath may decide who becomes hunter and who becomes hunted.